down everything from this week's Cyclone game. This is Cyclone Sunday, presented by Channel Seed, and best enjoyed with a carbless, premium handcrafted cocktail. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Cyclone Sunday.
What is going on? Iowa State is 2-0, and this is Cyclone Sunday. Ben Bruns, I'm Aiden Wyatt.
Morning.
Lindsay, that was a pretty easy game yesterday. We are presented here by Channel Seed, as always. We love our friends at Channel. I don't even know where you start with this one.
Well, I mean, how about let's just start with the fact that Iowa State beat down an opponent that is, a very solid football team and just punked them. And Matt Campbell showed zero signs of not wanting to just punk them constantly. Like, I mean, with 30 seconds left, Iowa State's on the 1 yard line and could have easily scored again. And I actually wondered, would Iowa State run another play, even if we didn't have to, just because I feel like Matt was wanting to set that sort of tone.
Yeah.
And if you look at what else happened across the conference, right? There's a lot of games that are going to cost us later in terms of national reputation. And I think the ACC acquitted themselves very well this weekend. And Matt and the crew are like, look, we're going to put it on you. Going for two, like I love it. I love it. It's a good football team we beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get any further, need to thank our friends at Channel Seed. Best-in-class products provide the best tools for you to be successful in your fields. Their commitment to farmers is supported by delivering leading-edge solutions that are connected to you through next-level experience. That's Channel Seed, seedsmanship at work. All right, let's fully dive into this thing. Set the scene here. Coming off of the Farmageddon, if you will, game in Ireland.
And you know what? By the way, can I just talk about this for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't give a care in the world about calling it Farmageddon, not calling it Farmageddon. I don't care. And I think the idea that people care, like, we have lots of things in life we can worry about. This one, for me, is just not a thing. There's no scandal. There's no insanity. Like, these two schools want to have a national reputation, be taken seriously at a national college football level. And, that's good, right? Whether we call it Farmageddon, continuing the series, that's a big deal. Like, that would be great if we could do that. But some of the stuff is not in the hands of the athletic directors. It's just not. Like, it's how these mega conferences work and how it all comes to. And just because some other conference does something, like, this stuff will all work out in the end, right? If we don't play Kansas State in a couple of years, we don't play Kansas State in a couple of years. I think what Iowa State's concerned about is, can Iowa State win the Big 12 conference and get into the playoff and make a run? And you know what? Coming into this game today, I feel like we had, as the week went on, I reflected more on that game, and I'm like, I think we have a really good football team. Like, I think we maybe have, this may be the best team in school history. And I didn't believe the hype.
Whoa.
I did not believe the hype preseason. I didn't.
Whoa.
Because we lost too many dudes. But as the week went on, I was like, that was really good last week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in this game because, if we go put a beat down on South Dakota, and I actually thought coming into the game, I had tweeted about it. I think this team is dangerous because I just think there's so many pieces that are so hard to defend all over the place. And then Rocco comes out and basically, pitches a perfect game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if Rocco plays like that, look, seasons are long. Iowa State is gonna probably at some point not play as well as we could. But you know what? When we play like that, I'm happy playing anybody.
Yeah, I was really excited to see, they started first play of the game against an FCS team back-to-back years, you're just taking a shot, and I love it. It looked like this one, I know, last year it came to light that throwing it to Jalen Nolan in double coverage wasn't really the plan. But this year it looked more like, it was a design play to get Eskilson open, 60 yards down the field or whatever it was. So I know Iowa State lost a couple receivers, but there's guys in that room. And also, while we're on Eskilson, he has so much more swag now that he switched his number. No disrespect to, a receiver wearing, I think he was 81. Yeah. But 9 it's a little cleaner, especially when Jaden Higgins was the last one to wear it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah. This is a good football team, and there's a whole bunch of people that not everybody's heard of yet, right?
Yeah.
But just because we haven't heard of them doesn't mean we're not going to get to know them, and we're getting to know them, and like five tight ends, maybe 6 played in the game. Trip Walsh, freshman freshman from Wisconsin is in the game, laying good blocks down. I'm just like, okay, like who, I want to talk for just a second about, as you think about all those parts, and we know how good Bramer is, and, he's having the kind of season early that we had hoped he could have last year. And obviously the injury really, changed the dynamic for him. Mm-hmm. But Gabe Burkle is a guy that in his time at Iowa State, he played a lot as a young guy. And I know what that's like. And it's hard. I mean, I played a lot as a freshman. And, it's just, if there's a highlight on me from those years, I probably don't want to watch the tape, right? But it's, he has become a tremendous football player. And you can tell the amount of respect the coaching staff has for him about how they talk about him. But I just got to tell you, on this program, like that guy can really play some ball. And, I think Iowa State, when you think of what this offense is, they're good at everything, and Bramer made a comment after the game, which I love. You might have the exact quote, but basically it's like,
go ahead.
Well, we don't practice until we get it right. We practice until we can't get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Like, and that's it. That's it. That's anything in life. If you want to be really good at it, you got to be so good at, like, everything gets harder when the chips are down. Always. Right. So if you think you're good at something, you're not great at it until you're great at it under pressure, Yeah. And I was chatting with somebody close to the program who had spent a couple weeks in and around the Iowa State camp, just kind of listening and learning. And he said that in the evenings during the camp, they would break out into small groups and they would talk about situational football, and play out like, if this situation exists, then what do we do? And it wasn't like the coaches were talking to them about that. They would pose the situation, and then the guys would have to talk about the what and the why they do the thing that they need to do. Like, you want to talk about deep learning about how to understand the most important nuances of anything. Like, if you go out on the field in a critical situation, and you just get a play call, you're not going to be able to process, especially if you're a young guy playing in some of your first football, you're not going to be able to process everything that might have to happen in order to capitalize on that situation or avoid a 10-second runoff or like just maximize your opportunity in the situation. That's incredible, right? To be able to talk about it in small groups like that, plan for it in camp. We would do some of this stuff under Coach Mack, but it would be kind of, as the season went on, we were able to get into more of those nuances, and it'd be the offensive line group with the offensive line, right? It wouldn't be necessarily the entire group or like intermixed groups of players. And to do that in camp and prepare it, it's just elite level preparation. And you know, you think back, Aiden, to some of the criticism of Matt Campbell in the late 2010s and early 2020, like the season in 2021 that didn't go the way everybody wanted it to. Winning in the margin, the detail, all that stuff that people were eventually kind of bringing back and putting in Iowa State's face. Like, we're there. So, look, I'm not trying to crown Iowa State anything. Like, this is not, yesterday's game was only yesterday's game. But yesterday's game was indicative of a team that has a nasty streak in them, but aren't assholes. They're not assholes. They're clean, good, but they're tough. They're gritty, and they want to kill you.
Yeah, I think talking about that 2021 season too, obviously that is like the class in Iowa State history that, finally turned the cruise ship around, cargo ship, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But I think unfortunately for them, they had to endure all the growing pains. Iowa State wasn't really ready for the expectations, I don't think. And the program as a whole kind of had to mature. And that was it. So now when you hear about all this, they are prepared for everything. They are not going to quit until, they can't get something wrong.
Yep.
I think that's part of, credit to everything that's happened in the past, 10 years with Matt Campbell.
Well, I think, you heard Matt talk about it, right? There was a sense of entitlement, not necessarily among the players, but, in a little bit among, like, the staff had to change. Maybe entitlement's the wrong word, but the staff had to change just this idea of, like, there is no we've arrived, right? There is only, we have to do the work, and we have to go, like, what can we become? And as you look at yesterday and you look at the scoreboard and you think about it, like, we could tackle better. We could run fit better. We could, we could be a little tighter in coverage in spots. We could fit in our run blocks better. We could, there's just all these things that can happen that Iowa State can do better. And in the midst of it, it's the most lopsided victory, in a home opener that I can recall for a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, there's this narrative out there that Iowa State regularly loses to FCS schools. I think it happened twice in 4 years, a decade ago.
Yeah, right.
And there have been some close games against UNI, even with Brock Purdy. Right. 2019, I think they went to overtime, and there's that fumble on the ground. He jumps on it, save the season, if you ask me. But anyway, I think when you set up this game, it's this FCS powerhouse, South Dakota. You're coming off this weird game from Ireland. Is there going to be jet lag? All this other stuff. Turns out Matt Campbell knows a lot more about his program than we do. And they were absolutely ready. Like, there was no sign of jet lag or them not being prepared for Saturday.
Well, and look at Kansas State, right? On the flip side, Kansas State comes back and needs a last-second score to beat North Dakota, right? And in a game they probably should have lost. And, I think the question for me is, how good is Kansas State? But I think also just the idea that they had a hangover from that, but we didn't. We came out and played phenomenal football. And, this Iowa State program is in a really, really, really good spot. And we're going to need to be, because, I think this Iowa team that we're going to play this week, which is what matters, right? All that matters is the next game.
Yep.
It's the only thing you can control. That's a really good offensive line. They run the football super effectively. They looked like the Hawkeyes that I remember from back in the day of outstanding line play that leads to everything else kind of opening up. And, I think Iowa State's defense, I thought Dom Orange had a great day. He played a ton of snaps. I thought the linebackers, made great plays again. I thought the safeties were great in the run game. But it will be the biggest test so far this season. I have no question about that. That is a better football team than how Kansas State played, in my view. And so we're going to get a chance to go to war in a rivalry game and, again, prove what Iowa State's made of. And man, what a blessing, what an opportunity to be able to have that chance to go do that.
Speaking of stuff back in the day, we want to welcome a new sponsor of Cyclone Sunday. So I pull it up here. Nostalgia THC Seltzers. You can find them at your local Fairway. Shout out to Fairway as well, sponsoring our Cyhawk Week content here at Iowa Everywhere. What we're going to do with Nostalgia is Ben Remembers. So a little moment here yesterday.
I have enough of those. I start to forget. So, man.
Hey, who's this bald guy on the right side of the picture who's not even facing the camera? I didn't realize that until
funny?
now.
Like, you get down on the field in a situation like that, and you're looking up at the camera, but the entire rest of the stadium, who's actually looking at you,
yeah,
right? They're like, your back's to them, and
that's a good point.
I just I knew all of our guys were facing the camera and the video board, and I was just like, I want the people in the stands who are looking at our group, to see something than the back of all of us, right?
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, I just turned around and wanted to thank people, and
so yeah, if people missed it yesterday, 2000insight.com Bowl champions. That's a bowl champ. Oh, look at that ring! Wow, champions. Iowa State Cyclones were honored yesterday at the end of the first quarter. Do I have that right?
Yep.
Coach Mack front and center, Jack Whitford front and center, which was pretty cool to see him.
Yep.
Sage was back, which is, he's a handful. That's Sage Rosenfeld's experience.
He's a handful. Yeah, I love it. So Sage spoke for like 40 minutes at our event on Friday night. Which was a handful as well.
Well, if you give him a microphone, you're not getting it back.
But you know what's so cool? Like, I appreciated because the things he had to say were the things that mattered to me, and he said it all. And there wasn't a reason to we were going to do an open mic, and others could jump up there. And I said it on the radio broadcast. Clayton and I, my boy, snuck up to the radio booth and hung out a little bit with the crew in the second quarter. There are 8 people that were on that team that aren't with us anymore. And, that's crazy, right? 25 years. But, some of them, like Ennis, passed away when he was in Dallas's camp, right after he graduated in 01. And, I was just really glad that those guys were honored as part of all this, because it's a special group, and Mac, Mac believed in us in a way that nobody else did. And Gene Smith, who's going into the Hall of Fame this year for Iowa State, our athletic director at the time, believed in Mac the way no other athletic director should or would, right? I mean, Mac got 6 years at Iowa State. We were his 6th season before there was a winning season. That's a long runway for somebody in college football. In this day and age, like, you don't win in 3 years, you're out most of the time, right? But Gene understood that what Mac was doing, how he was doing it, what was being done, how hard it was a mountain to climb. And that man in your picture climbed that mountain and led us with belief and conviction. And frankly, all of the things that Iowa State's athletic department had in the 2000 era, including elite basketball across the board, Like that Marcus Fizer team, with Jamal Tinsley that had to go to Auburn Hills after getting screwed out of a 1 seed, winning the Big 12 regular season, winning the Big 12 tournament, and getting the worst 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, which is total bullshit, by the way. That was the national championship game in Auburn Hills against Michigan State and Mateen Cleaves. And the head coach of the football team can really set the table for what everybody else in the program does. And Bill Family talks about this all the time, the success that his program has had. But having a Dan McCarney, a Matt Campbell in your athletic program changes a lot of things, and it really it really raises a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And Mac was that rising tide for Iowa State, and Gene Smith understood it, right? He knew he had the right guy. He knew it was coming, and I told Mac. I told Mac Friday night that if Mac had gotten a chance for another year, he would have turned it around again after 2006, right? Like, I have no doubt about that. But he didn't, and I just think Jamie's done a wonderful job, but I believe Dan McCarney would have been a better choice than Gene Chizik that following season. And everything happens for a reason, and all goes the way it needs to. And Mac has been extraordinarily classy. Jamie has as well. Publicly, I love that Matt Campbell has embraced having Dan McCarney back inside this program, and what it means for all of us old guys, who. We get a chance to see this place be what we wanted it to be and why we came here. And I'm grateful. And I want to see us beat the ever-loving hell out of people this season. Like, I want to see this team be the best team in school history and like win a championship. Because it's so damn hard to do all that work to get to that place where it matters. And one of the things, Ryan Harklaw said it on the broadcast while I was on briefly in the second quarter, the thing that was shocking to all the guys who came back, who hadn't been back in a long time, Matt Word, linebacker for us, great career. He was a couple of years younger than me, but played a ton on that 2000 team. Lives down in Florida, great family. His wife was a sprinter, and like their kids are athletes, and it was their first time here. They're up on campus today, checking it out, like seeing what Iowa State's all about. None of where we were, the Suka Bend Zone Club, none of that existed, right? Hark's just like, this place was a wind tunnel. Like, it was a miserable place to play on the amount of weird gusts of wind you'd get and all this stuff. Like, Conrady's 63-yarder was into the wind last night, but it doesn't matter because the stadium's been reconfigured in a way where it's an elite facility to play football in, right? And the locker room and the training table and the weight room and like the indoor, it's elite. It's next level. And Dan McCarney is the reason we have nice things.
Yep. It was kind of funny. Go ahead.
No, do it.
I was going to say, I brought my girlfriend to her first game at Jack Trice Stadium yesterday.
Okay. Cool.
She is not a sports gal. She was a very good sport about being there. Yep. And, we were walking around and I was like, okay, so you see that building? That wasn't here 10 years ago. That wasn't bowled in 15 years ago. All these new things have happened in like the last 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all because of this guy named Dan McCarney. Now, McCarney, he didn't have a great record, but we all loved him and we all believed in him.
Yeah.
And the thing with McCarney, too, outside of that stuff, you mentioned how Matt Campbell has really embraced him. And I'm glad that a lot of time in sports, you don't honor someone until they're already gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. That's a good point.
Especially, like Lee Corso yesterday. I'm glad that he had his final show. He got to go out the way he did it. And the way that Iowa State is bringing in Dan McCarney to, he's giving the team speeches and stuff, which every video I see, I just want to run through a brick wall. And I love how much Dan McCarney is still very much involved with this program. And I'm sure you are too.
You're 100%, right? Like, to see Coach Mack be embraced by this institution is super cool. And, it's not like anybody has to do that, right? Mm-hmm. But Iowa State has chosen to do that. And, Mac told me, he's like, look, the athletic department has to approve when I come to do anything, when I come to anybody. And he said, and they do it. And he's grateful for it. And so, I just, you can tell from the emotion for me, right? Like, I barely talk, how grateful I am for what Mac has meant in our lives. And, Mac was, I got asked the question the other day, who was the first person that really believed in you? I was like, whoa, what a, and it was in a leadership session. And it's like, whoa, wow, what an interesting question, right? And it's one thing to like be cared for and be, and be loved and be, be supported and whatever, but like, that idea of like deep belief, and the essence of the question was like, who really believed in you that inspired you to believe in yourself? It's like, huh. And the answer for me were my coaches that had believed in our teams. And our head coach in high school was a guy named Mark Gunther. We won the first state championship in school history at Denver High School under Coach G. And it wasn't like he believed necessarily, just in me, right? And that caused me to believe in me, but he believed in us as a team, and we believed in ourselves as a team. And the same was true for Iowa State in 2000, right? And, a lot of people have talked about 99 versus 2000 and, what the differences were. And, we were so close in 99, man. We were so close. And there's so many people that I respect from the 98 team and the 97 team and the 96 team that didn't have that success, that are also part of the success that we had in 2000, right? And it's all part of the success that we're going to have in 2025. And so, I just it's grateful to see that legacy be embraced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes me nostalgic.
Yeah, there you go. That was Ben Remembers, presented by
it was like 46 minutes.
Yeah, right. Also need to thank our friends at Iowa Distilling Company. Pick up yourself a bottle of their 1858 vodka and support the Cyclones. Back to yesterday. I think we talked about this before the show. The play that kind of changed everything was on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. Jamison Patton, I think it was a South Dakota receiver tipped the ball. I don't think it was an Iowa State defender.
It was one of yep. Bauman forced out of the pocket, on the run.
Which, by the way, he's a very good quarterback.
He's a very good quarterback. Yeah, he'll be in an NFL camp.
Yeah, I don't know. With how things worked out, I don't know if he would have ever played at Iowa State, but he's had a very good career at South Dakota. And yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So, he's on the run, has to try and sling it. And, you think about Rocco and what Rocco did in a similar situation to Tyler Moore. just throwing a rope down the sideline as he's scrambling. This was a similar situation. Passes a little bit high, gets tipped up, intercepted. But, they were driving. And if that's a 14-14 game, right, Iowa State's offense has to come back out and make something happen. Instead, you pick it off, return it, to give yourself some space, and Iowa State goes on to roll the rest of the way. And, little moments can become big moments if you capitalize. And so Iowa State knows how to capitalize on those little moments, and we're doing it.
Yeah, it's the margins that we've
winning the margins, from right? So everybody who thinks that like that was just a bunch of wind, go blow it out. Go blow it out your horn, because that was an old Mac saying. But this team, this program, and it's taken learning, right? It's taken evolution in Matt's career, right? He's got a little Michael Jordan in him, right? Like he wants to have something that's pissing him off and that like is bothering, like they've got to have something to not afraid to embrace a little controversy, even if it's not real, just to make a point.
Yep.
And that edge that comes from that competitive edge is showing up, and like that learning, that willingness to be introspective and like, not believe, all the praise that you get when things are going well. Right. Or to think critically when something didn't go well. All of that has gone together with everything that Matt, has brought to the table on day one to make this a very, very dangerous and effective football team. And I think top to bottom, this roster is as talented as any we've seen. We just don't know everybody yet. Yep. And as we get to know them, we're going to see how good they are. And I just can't wait for this season to continue to unfold. And again, it's one opportunity at a time, right, Aiden? You can only play the next game.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing, I don't think we do it enough of it on this show. We need to talk special teams.
Yeah.
It is, for a while, it was kind of a bugaboo.
Oh, buddy, was it ever? It was the Achilles heel of Iowa State.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa State wins a Big 12 championship with Brock Purdy against Oklahoma if we cover. If we can cover, a kickoff and a punt return.
Yeah.
I mean, that field position situation all day was absolutely awful. And, so how do you continue to evolve? How do you continue to improve? Like, we haven't had to talk about Iowa State special teams for 2 years now, right? Because it's been fixed for 2 years. And what a difference, right? All of a sudden now you can win all those close games. I mean, Hassel talks about it, right? How many one-score games has Iowa State won? Like 7 of the last 8. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because previously it was like they'd lost 6 out of 7 or something.
Yes,
like that.
Absolutely. It was exactly the opposite. So, you think about what a difference that makes. And, when Flora fielded that punt on the 3-yard line, I was screaming. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Right. And then almost takes it to the house. And
those punt returns like that, when I watch the game from the press box, so I can see the entire field.
Yeah.
When you have that line of blockers up against the sideline, that was like, okay, he's gone. I stepped out. But when you see that they're all just waiting there, waiting for anyone to get in the way, that's when like, okay, this was a very well-oiled play for Iowa State.
Yes. How much farther? So it's week 2. You went to Ireland and came back. Like, I thought at the end, in the second, we talked about it last week, in the second half, Iowa State looked like they were making plays that you would make in week 10 in a season, right? It was like, whoa, this is really good. And there's no question that every little detail is being cared for, right? And, I think, at times in the past, Matt hasn't been as candid about things that, weren't like when the special teams weren't good back in the day. It's like, no, we're doing it. And it's like, man, like this is everything about what Iowa State is doing. And like privately, that kind of stuff, when it's not quite right, like grinds his gears. It has to, right? Like he's too competitive. He's too, he's too focused. He's too, this program is reflecting the absolute attention to detail and humility that it takes to continue to grow and to be great. And being humble doesn't mean that you don't have pride, right? It doesn't mean that you don't have competitive drive and ego. It means that you are willing to put whatever is not quite right front and center and fix it. And like, we work on it, work on yourself, work on the game, work on the whole thing. And eventually, right, it becomes a masterpiece. And, there's a lot to be written this season. There will be things that go wrong. Who knows what happens next week? Playing a good opponent in a rivalry game. There's going to be lots of people talking about lots of things, and just trying to avoid the fray of all of that. But like, let's go win a football game and let's get after it, right? And let's play like assholes while being gentlemen. I'm ready.
Well put. I think it's important too how much confidence Matt Campbell clearly has in Kyle Conradi back there.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it to Chris Williams kind of jokingly. I'm like, do you send out Conradi here?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. And, well, according to Matt, F it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Here we go.
I mean, really, he had nothing to lose. The only thing he could gain is confidence,
right.
And he did. Right. Freaking nailed it.
Right.
63 yards. Are you kidding me?
I mean, pounded. I mean, that was a straight laser, with the driver in the bag, right? Like pull it out and pound it. That was one of the neat moments. I think there were a lot of things that were special about yesterday. And I go back to, nostalgia, right? There were a lot of things that made that day cool. That one, to me, was just sort of the capper. Like, there's something really special happening here. Really special. And every single person involved in this thing, from, top to bottom, can see it when you have situations like that. And I just think, hats off to Matt Campbell for sending Conradi out there, and maybe that was a little bit of a precursor to next week as well. So
before we get out of here,
hey, remember this guy? Bang.
Yeah, right. Before we get out of here, need to thank our friends at Iowa Corn. Pump it up with ethanol at the pump, and you're helping to support Iowa's farmers. Iowa's the #1 corn growing state, and every choice you make can support Iowa's farmers. And last but certainly not least, need to thank our friends at Carbless. Brunsy, take it away.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff, and had a couple of those yesterday. So
Taste victory.
It's the fastest growing, actually one of the fastest growing companies in the country. Number 2 fastest growing company in the Midwest, fastest growing beverage brand, and Iowa is the top state for Carbless. It tastes good, and you know what? Like, if you're gonna just have some tequila in a glass, it's the same thing. It's the same amount of carbs at the end of the day, or the calorie count is the same as a carbless, and carbless tastes damn good. So hats off to them. Great company, and really appreciate their sponsorship.
That's a promo. Before we get out of here, let's talk Cyhawk just a little bit. What is this week like in the building at Iowa State?
It has a different edge. It has a different degree of focus and excitement. And, this team's already been through a lot, right? To take that trip to Ireland, the end of it feels like you won a bowl game, but it was week 1. Like that's bizarre and exciting and an amazing life experience. This is straight up bragging rights. This is, I don't want to have to listen to their crap for the year, right? That's what this is. And so the opportunity associated with this is literally about, just not like seeing your opponent's gear around the community the rest of the year, and knowing that you did what it took to have the right to feel good looking at that logo. And there's lots of people talk about what's the most important rivalry and blah 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 whatever, right? There's like 4 million views on Iowa's message board that's like Iowa State hate. Like, come on. You know what? We're tired of talking about whether or not we're a rival to you guys. Just come to Ames, and we're going to get it done. And so, we like playing this game. I loved playing Iowa because here's what you were going to get from Iowa. They weren't going to try and trick you. They weren't going to try and out fancy you. Although Brian Ferencz seemed to have something up his sleeve for the Cyclones because it meant more to him, and it did. But most of the time, like, you put your hand on the ground and you're going to get the same defense all game, every game, and it was just going to be who's better, right? And we won 3 of the 5 games that I was around for, including the last 3, all games I started in. And it was because we were tougher in the trenches. We were better in the trenches. And we're going to find out what happens. I think this Iowa offensive line's really good. They drive their legs extraordinarily well. They're quick. They get to position, and they stay on you, and they drive. And I think those running backs can play. So once that happens, everything else gets pretty good. But, you get them behind the chains, and I think Iowa State gets a huge advantage in this game. So I think down and distance doesn't matter as much for Iowa State as it does for Iowa in this game. I think Rocco Becht has the ability, and the way this offense is configured, to hurt you a lot of different ways. I think Iowa has to stay ahead of the chains in order to win the game. I think Iowa State has to make plays to win the game and keep Iowa behind the chains. I think that's going to be the whole key to the game. And, I think Iowa State is deep enough to just go out and get Iowa off the field regularly, but we'll find out. Like, at the end of the day, it's not hard. What they're going to run. They're going to run zone. They're going to run zone. They're going to run zone, and then they're going to run some power and play action. And it's like, let's go get it.
I want to get your take on this. If Iowa State didn't have the game in Ireland, where you have to play a real game, you can't play this vanilla playbook. If you don't play that game week 0, I think a week 1 game against South Dakota, you might do your 21, 24-0, whatever.
Yeah, it might look like Albany, right? Yeah, that was, I think Iowa ran 6 plays.
That was a JV team.
Yeah.
Poor bastards at Albany. Anyway, I think Mauser has laid it out there for Iowa. There's no hiding the playbook this year.
Yeah.
It's you need to prepare for us. And by the way, I got a bunch of stuff that we haven't even thrown in yet.
Yeah,
like they showed Wildcat yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I too much has been made of wanting to keep things in the playbook, and wanting to not show much. Because at the end of the day, none of that stuff that you might try and have as a wrinkle actually matters. You got what matters is, did you win in the trench? Like, did you execute? When Iowa State has won this game in the recent history, and by the way, Kirk Ferentz has had a very good record in this series in the last, in the Matt Campbell era,
yep.
Right? So let's not act like we're coming into this thing having dominated recent history. We have not. But when Iowa State has won, it's won because of making great drives with great plays, and being hard to kill, like being the last one. Like this game, I said it last year before the game started, like it comes down to who wants it more longer. Who wants it more longer? Who's willing to endure the absolute agony and pain of focus in this game for longer? And I'm telling you, man, like, it is everything you got for 60 plus minutes. And like, there's no hiding. Like, it just is real. And that's one of the things that makes it great. If you want to win this game, ask the Hawks last year, don't make a mistake. 60 minutes, because we're going to walk off the field beating your ass into Iowa City, and you're going to be real frustrated, right? And there was a lot of people that were disbelieving, what happened in the end of that game, because Iowa really did control a lot of that football game. But guess what? It's 60 minutes. Put your chin strap on and, come get it, because it's the best thing about football.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great spot to end things here. Need to promote real quick. Huge week on Iowa Everywhere. Murph and Andy on the road this week. We'll be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Friday, kicking off the day, two guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel at Eggs and Jam at 9:30, followed by Murph and Andy from Polk City at 1 o'clock. Then at 4 o'clock, we got Chris Hassel and Scott Docterman. I believe Chris Williams will be there to fight for us Cyclones, live from Big Grove at 4 p.m. And then at 6:30, Andrew Downs and Scott Docterman at Buffalo Wild Wings on Merle Hay for Hawks on Tap. Like I said, huge week on Iowa Everywhere. Can't wait for it. Huge Cyhawk week coming up next Saturday. Bigger Than 12 coming later today here on Iowa Everywhere. For Ben Bruns and Aiden Wyatt, this has been Cyclone Sunday from the Channel Seed Studios. We will see you next week.